Hello and welcome back to the Morrissey and Wine podcast. I'm here with Chris. Hi, Chris.
Hi, George.
Hello. So this is your chance to sit back and relax, get a glass of wine, enjoy an hour of Morrissey and the Smiths and all the news and opinions that come with that. This week's bottle of wine is a Jam Shed Australian Chardonnay, which I believe retails for £7 at Tesco. Medium price wine is what we're all about. Now, Chris, just before we get started, I want to tell you about this really weird thing that happened to me. So my cousin, Blaine, who is a big fan of the show, she went to Texas with her husband, Sean, and her kids, Kit and Harrison. Almost forgot Harrison's name there. That's slightly embarrassing. Anyway, she was speaking to the bellboy in the hotel, and he said, where are you flying back to? She said, London. And he said, my friend is flying to the UK. He's going to the Star and Garter in Manchester. She was like, oh, okay. Is he like a big Smiths and Morrissey fan? And he said, yes. And it turns out that this guy that the bellboy knew was Tom Chavez III, who I interviewed in the first issue of the fanzine.
No way.
Yeah, for when the doorman at the Star and Garter passed away, we did an obituary to him. Tom Chavez III gave me some quotes, and his wife Monica. She was in Texas and she met someone who was friends with Tom, who I had interviewed for the fanzine, all those thousands of miles away.
Small world.
How weird is that?
Small world.
Anyway, what have we got coming up on the podcast?
Well, George, coming up we have the lovely Julie Hamill back to announce a special guest for the upcoming Mozarmy meet in Manchester.
A really special guest?
Really special guest.
Genuinely very, very big.
Definitely.
Yeah.
We have news from the world of Morrissey, including a recent sighting. We have, the Morrissey and Smiths quiz. I'm the quiz master this time. See how well you do.
Okay.
We have Nanny Val Reacts is back.
Yeah.
We'll be dissecting and discussing some of Morrissey's lyrics, Morrissey and the Smiths lyrics. And we have an interview with Dickie Felton on his new Morrissey book, I Am Hated for Loving.
Yeah, and so people may know Dickie from his previous book, The Day I Met Morrissey.
Yeah.
It was a lovely book, all these different people who have met Morrissey and what that was like. So he's got this new book out. I actually don't know what it's about. I'm really looking forward to talking to Dickie.
Yeah, me neither.
See what it's all about. Okay, and then just to start with, we're going to do... Well, we've got it written down in our doc as an icebreaker. We should probably think of a sexier word for it. But basically, we're going to do some word association.
I think icebreaker is sexier than word association.
Do you think?
Maybe, I don't know.
I'm slightly more turned on by word association.
Well, you're a journalist.
Yeah. So I'm gonna list some Morrissey words, and I'm going to see what the first word is that comes to mind for you, and you're going to do the same back to me.
Mm-hmm.
So let's get into that now. Right, so I've got a list of words here, Morrissey-related words, Morrissey and Smiths, that I'm going to fire at you, and I want to hear your first word back.
Okay, the first thing I think of.
The first thing you think of.
Okay.
Then I'm going to judge it quite harshly.
Okay.
Ready?
Yes.
Quiff.
Hair.
Oh, that's boring.
Is it?
Yeah. Well, not your fault. I just can't really take the piss out of you for that.
Okay, go on.
Sheila.
Delaney.
Oh, yes. Okay, Sheila Delaney, yes. All right. How about this one? Humorsexual.
Human sexual.
Yeah. Say something weird.
Kenneth Williams.
Kenneth Williams.
That's only one. That's 2 words.
Yeah, it's 2 words, but it's a name, so that's okay. Do you remember in that biopic when he's hoovering the apartment naked?
Oh, God.
And he's hoping someone doesn't walk in.
Terribly depressing. And when he takes the cling film off the stove.
Yeah. Like there's old people who cover their sofas in plastic.
You sort of slip off it.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Okay, alright. Johnny.
Condom.
Johnny Condom. Okay, alright. Okay, Johnny, alright, fine. I thought it was maybe like a sexual link. Maybe you fancy Johnny Marr, but no, just Johnny Condom.
Maybe in the 80s.
Yeah. Did have very nice hair.
Yes, yeah.
Okay, heroin.
Arm. Vein.
Yeah. Needle.
Needle, yeah.
Yeah, okay. Alright, 2 left. Kit.
Lips.
Lips. Oh, what was it?
His lonely lips were pressed against them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I used to love that song. Because for a long time...
You used to?
Well, yeah. Well, there was a time at university when I was going out with this guy, and he left a takeaway tray in my.
Oh God, I've heard this before.
Yeah, in my room.
It looked like a science experiment, didn't it? In the end.
Yeah, I didn't want to get rid of it because his lonely lips were, once pressed against them, and.
What takeaway was it?
I think it was chips and cheese.
Oh, at least it wasn't a Chinese.
But yeah, and then at one time, Kit was. No one had heard Kit. Like, you couldn't find a copy of Kit anywhere on the internet, and now everyone can hear it. But there was
before the YouTube.
Yeah, I think so. There was a time when it was like the holy grail of Morrissey outtakes. Okay, one more. Unlovable. You have to say the first thing that comes to mind.
Katie
You're obviously
Hopkins.
filtering. Katie Hopkins. Okay, yeah.
You do. Although you do. I don't want to say this, but sometimes I have listened to a couple of videos and I.
Don't. Right, okay. Well, you need to be cancelled for that opinion.
But I did say she was unlovable. So.
Yeah, she is unlovable. Okay, right. Your turn to ask me, and I won't look at the doc because we've got them all listed on there. A little sip of wine. Just do a little bit of admin.
Let's make them bigger.
Oh, right. I have to help Chris with some technical stuff because he can't make fonts bigger on a Google Doc because he's an idiot.
Don't look at them, though. Just make it bigger.
This is because you've screwed up the page. You've got it zoomed in so far. You're like an old lady.
It's very long-winded, isn't it? Just make it bigger.
Format, text. How do you make it bigger? Oh, I know. I've got it. This is so embarrassing, Chris. You're a modern man. You should know how to make fonts bigger. Right, there we go.
Right, okay.
I've done it.
Right.
I've done it.
Right, my turn. Right. God, this is palaver. That's not the first word.
Okay.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Polare.
Gay.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah, that's fair enough, yeah.
Books.
Sexy.
Okay, nice. Any particular book?
Lady Chatterley's Lover. No, not really. Giovanni's Room. That's a sexy book.
Disco.
Black. We talked about this last week, didn't we?
Did we?
Last time. Yeah, disco. Because I said
of course, yeah.
people accuse
Yeah.
Panic of being racist because
Yeah,
disco is associated with black music. So
Thank
yeah,
God
10
for
points
disco.
to me.
10 points to you. Irish.
Blood.
Yes.
English. Heart.
Panic.
At the disco.
That's not another word, though, is it?
Okay. All right. Do it again.
Panic.
Scary.
Okay.
We're all gonna die.
Panic. I remember you told me when your friend said it would be a great thing to go and, if someone's sleeping, go up to them and shake them and say, "Everyone's dead."
Yeah. Wake up, everyone's dead. How funny would that be?
It's quite cruel.
Wake up, everyone's dead.
Mother.
Scary.
Scary.
Yeah, I've said it again.
That's a bit messed up, isn't it?
It is a bit, yeah. No,
your mum's alright.
I just think, like, there's, especially in the Smiths music, Mama, please let me go. There's the idea of the mother and son link. It's not the healthiest in the Smiths music and Morrissey's music.
No.
Or Mother, I can feel the soil falling over my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or Mother, why did you do it?
Yeah.
School.
Pain.
For you or for Morrissey or?
Well, actually, Chris, I was a massive bully at school, and I
Yeah.
no, I
So
wasn't.
you inflicted the pain.
No. Yes, school's horrible.
We did go to the same school, didn't we?
We did.
I was quite a few years younger than you.
Quite a few. Well, what, 2 or 3?
3 or 4.
But we did go to the same school, yeah. No, I think school is painful. I think you have to be honest. I mean, we all had a terrible time. Unless you were the most popular boy or girl at the school, it was probably really shit for you.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case.
Yeah.
It was for me. Thank you. So next we're moving on to...
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's the 7 words.
Oh, okay. All right.
So next we're going to move on to news from the world of Morrissey.
Okay. All right.
So the first thing on our list, it's quite sad really, is the death of Andy Martin. who was the licensee, the landlord of the Star and Garter.
Yeah.
And also, I suppose, the future of the Star and Garter, which and is the Mozarmy still going ahead?
Yeah. So Andy Martin passed away really suddenly. It took everybody by surprise. I mean, I wasn't a friend of Andy's. I didn't know him very well, but I know Julie did, and Julie was telling me about what happened. It was really sudden. He leaves behind a wife, I believe 2 children. Just terrible. And of course, Andy was the mastermind behind the Smiths Disco and all the things that we love about the Star and Garter. So I don't know what's going to happen to the future of the Star and Garter. I honestly don't know. But I do know that the Mozarmy meet in May will be going ahead, which is great. But it's just really sad.
It is. I mean, we've spent so many nights there at the Star and Garter with so many people we know have. It's the best Smiths and Morrissey disco in the world.
Yeah.
It's an amazing night. Every month it happens. Every month it's busy, but lots of people really want to go there. So I want to thank Andy for that, because I can't have that experience anywhere else in Manchester in any other bar. That's my night, and I've got so many friends that feel the same way. So yeah, there's so many people that are, and I think there is which is the one thing that's come out of this is there is the GoFundMe page, which I think has done really well.
Yeah.
So if you want to mention that.
Yeah, well, of course you can still donate, but I understand that they've hit the target, several thousands of pounds to pay for Andy's funeral, which just goes to show how much people loved him and how much they appreciated his work. I mean, you're right. We have so many memories that we wouldn't have without Andy and his direction of the Star and Garter. And the Star and Garter was not an easy venue to look after. It was constantly breaking. There were leaks and... It's
an ancient, decrepit building.
Yeah. So it wasn't an easy feat. And he did such a good job. And I guess we could just say thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Put that on record. What do we have next?
Moving on, we have... Andy Burnham at Salford Lads Club.
Oh yeah. Well, we won't talk about this for too long because I don't like to do politics. But Andy Burnham launched his mayoral campaign at the Salford Lads Club, and he said in his speech, I believe, that he did get his picture taken there about 40 years ago because I think he's a Smiths fan, which probably played no small part in him choosing that venue for his launch. I don't know what people think about Andy Burnham. I don't live in Manchester. Well, you do actually, Chris. So what do you think of Andy Burnham?
I mean, for most people, he can't do anything wrong. I mean,
really?
I think people do really like him. I mean, I suppose he's the anti sort of current Tory party, so that sort of, and I suppose he has got some charisma, which he definitely does have. I'll give him that. But I don't know enough about him. To really go much further, but yeah, he chose the Salford Lads Club.
Yeah, well, we'll accept any Smiths fans, unless they're Katie Hopkins.
And then more on the Labour Party. We don't want to go too far into this.
Really, another one.
Keir Starmer recently used a song.
Is this on the doc?
Yes, Keir Starmer at the end of Andy Burnham.
Okay, all right. Because I'm very conscious of not doing too many politics, and we're doing very Labour politics. But anyway, Keir Starmer said that the Smiths had a very big influence on him as a kid, as a younger person. And his favourite live gig ever was the Smiths in Camden. And he's likely to be the next Prime Minister. He's been to a gig? Yeah, he has been to a gig.
God.
Well, I think he was, I don't know, I think he
he's extremely dull.
Is he? A little bit of fish, a little bit of cheese.
He is very dull.
Okay, maybe he is. But he is going to be the next Prime Minister, probably.
I think so.
So we should suck up to him now.
You've got to be better than Fishy Rishi.
Fishy Rishi, yeah. Well, anyway, yeah, he said he loves the Smiths. So it's good to know, if you live in the UK, your next Prime Minister is probably a fan of the Smiths. So let's not talk about politics too much more than that. Is there anything else on the list?
So there was a recent photo that came out. Morrissey was spotted in Yorkshire again. He likes Yorkshire. Oh, yeah. And it was a private event. Yeah.
So a professional photographer, put a selfie of him and Morrissey on his Instagram, and the previous picture was an event in Yorkshire. It was like the engagement of a couple. I don't know if they were famous or whatever. I didn't recognise them, but we think that it was in Yorkshire. And Morrissey looked very happy. He was wearing a baseball cap, I think.
Yeah.
Because you know that Libertines line. There's nothing more. What's it? There's a. What is that? Do you know the song?
No, I don't know.
Okay, let me look it up. Libertines. Bass.
Is this going to be worth it?
Yes, it will be worth it. Wait for it.
Wait for it.
I'm looking. I'm on Genius now. I'm scrolling through.
What's the song called?
Time for Heroes.
Time for Heroes.
Yeah. This is gonna improve your life. It was a few or more distressing sights than that of an Englishman in a baseball cap. I think that transcription is wrong. I think what it is there's not a more distressing sight than an Englishman in a baseball cap.
Yeah, I can understand that.
That's what I was getting at.
Yeah, it's a good line.
But if Morrissey wears a baseball cap, then everything's fine.
Yeah.
He's an Englishman. He can get away with it. But anyway, yeah, nice to see Morrissey out and about because obviously recently he was saying that he was physically exhausted.
And then there's a big smile on his face in that photo as well, which is lovely to see.
So what's next?
Heaven knows lyrics are dull now.
Oh yeah, this was a story in the Sun newspaper. If you don't live in the UK, the Sun is a tabloid. A lot of people don't like it, especially people in Liverpool. They
hate it, yeah.
They effing hate it, of course, because of all that stuff in the past. Anyway, they were saying in this article that lyrics these days, pop lyrics, are much simpler than they used to be in the 80s. And in the 80s, they had a higher lyrical density and there were more complicated words. And these days, everything is just watered down.
But why is that? Why in an age where anyone can become famous by going on YouTube, creating their own music, why is it that you would think it'd be the opposite? I don't get that.
Yeah. Well, because it's easier to sell shit, isn't it, than to sell clever stuff. Like it. You just say, oh, I feel really shit. My boyfriend's broke up with me. Blah blah. That's easy to say.
Like Taylor Swift's just become on the Forbes billionaire list.
Don't start attacking Taylor Swift.
I know because there's a lot of people out there that like
Yeah.
Taylor Swift, and I don't dislike her, but come on.
Taylor Swift is pretty good, don't you think?
I don't think.
Okay.
So next we have Mandy.
Ooh.
This is a British sitcom on iPlayer. Quite niche in a way because it doesn't go on telly, does it? I don't know, but it's on iPlayer.
Yeah.
Sort of dark, twisted, a bit sort of odd humour, would you say?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So she's like oddly kind of glamorous character. So she has a big beehive of hair. She's always chewing her cheeks, so like her mouth is always skewed to the left or the right. But Diane Morgan is the woman who plays her, and Diane Morgan did Kunk on Earth, Kunk on...
Yeah.
Which is brilliant.
Which is really brilliant, yeah.
Yeah, so Mandy is her own project. And in Mandy, there are several Smiths and Morrissey references. There's a bit when she's walking a dog, and she gets attacked, or the dog gets attacked or something. She's lying in a field, and I think the dog gets eaten to death. And over that, they play Meet Is Murder.
Meet Is Murder, yeah.
And then there's another bit when she's got a job at a slaughterhouse, and she hates it. She didn't understand what a slaughterhouse would involve. And she says to the job coach, Morrissey was right about that at least. So he was right about the slaughterhouse. Maybe not about the other stuff, but Morrissey was right about that at least.
That bit, yeah.
And we've requested an interview with her, haven't we? We've tried.
I mean, she must be a fan to have that many references.
Yeah, I would love to have Diane Morgan on this podcast. But
so, what's your favourite part about the show, Mandy?
I
like it where she's it's not very animal friendly, where she has to splat the spiders.
In the first episode,
yeah,
so she gets a job in a banana factory. And her job is to destroy the tarantulas that come out of the crates. Yeah, this idea of comedy being horrible. That you don't get that a lot, but it's a horrible scene when she's smashing the spiders, but it kind of works. So anyway, that's news from the world of Morrissey, and next we're going to go into a quiz. So believe you're going to ask me some questions, Chris.
Yeah, 10 questions.
Yeah.
Good luck.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so just before we go into the quiz, better plug the fanzine. So if you're enjoying this podcast, if you want to know more about the Smiths and Morrissey, we do have a fanzine. It comes out once a month. If you want to subscribe, you can find the details in our Twitter bio. So you can look for @MorrisseyMerc. You can also follow us on Instagram @TheMorrisseyMercury. We also have a WhatsApp channel, WhatsApp community. So if you join us on there, you can also find the details in the Twitter bio. You'll get an instant notification whenever Morrissey posts his website. But for now, let's go into the quiz.
The quiz, so 10 questions.
Yeah.
I'm the quiz master this time.
Yes.
I feel like Anne Robinson.
You are the weakest link.
Goodbye. Question number 1. What was the name of Morrissey's book about James Dean?
Oh, God. I feel like it has way in the title. And I know all about this. I know that before he was famous with the Smiths, he had a James Dean book and he got a couple of things published. I'm going to have to push you for an answer. I can't remember.
James Dean is not dead.
Okay. It's quite a good title.
Question number 2. In what month is Morrissey Day in Los Angeles?
It was definitely in the summer.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's why I didn't say in the summer, because I knew it was definitely
not in the summer.
Not
in the summer, yeah.
I knew it was in the winter. No, spring.
Closer.
Autumn. So it's not in any season of the year. I know all about this. I know there's that gif of like Morrissey in the elevator and he's holding the...
Yeah, he looks like he's high.
Yeah, he looks like he's high. Holding the certificate saying, "Woo, Morrissey Day."
What time of year could that be?
September the 21st.
Ooh. No, November the 10th of November, sorry, we're English. November the 10th.
Okay, alright.
No, 10th of November. So question number 3. True or false, Morrissey once said, "I have been told my attitude to cohabitation is glib."
I don't think Morrissey would use a word like that. Glib. I've never heard him say glib.
No? So you don't
Or
think...
cohabitation.
Not Morrissey?
I think it's false.
False. Correct. Have a guess at who it might be?
Kenneth Williams?
Oh, close. Similar, some sort of same ballpark. Quentin Crisp. Crisp said, "I've been told my attitude to cohabitation is glib."
Okay.
Question number 4.
Yes.
Question number 4. In the song Istanbul, what is stylish and glum?
I know this one. I'm in my element in question 4. It is prostitutes.
Well done.
Thank you.
Well done. Great song.
Yeah.
I'm really glad it came back for the last few dates of the last tour. I lean into a box of pine. Question number 5. Morrissey's first band, you know this one. Morrissey's first band was called...
I'll give you a second at home to get it, but I know this one.
Oh, well done.
The Nosebleeds.
The Nosebleeds, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So that's...
Oh, police car outside.
Halfway through, you got 3 out of 5, so,
yeah,
not too bad. Question number 6. This is a tough one. This is the toughest, I think. Who was the original bass player in the Smiths?
Oh, God. I know he was in a documentary that I watched recently, and he said the Smiths wanted to be a gay band, and he had a wife and kids, and he wasn't really sure that he would fit into that gay band. But I cannot remember his name, so I'm going to skip. I'm going to pass. What is it?
It was Dale Hibbert.
Dale Hibbert.
Yeah.
Okay. Did not know that.
So, question number 7. Morrissey is alleged to have once said he is a man trapped in a pig's body. Who was he referring to?
I know that his first name is Tony, and I know he was a big deal in Manchester at the time.
You know this.
Tony Curtis.
Wilson.
Ooh, Tony
Wilson.
Tony Wilson.
Tony Wilson.
Tony Wilson, as I thought all along.
So I've known this for a while, and I think we've discussed it before.
Yeah.
But I think I'm just because I was doing some research to make sure these questions that they really are there, and obviously the story is that Tony Wilson said that Morrissey is a woman trapped in a man's body, and Morrissey's genius response was, Tony Wilson is a man trapped in a pig's body. It's so really delicious. Some great shade there.
Yeah.
Some more plurry. Question number, I think 8. There is a quote from the 1961 film adaptation. You're good at your 1961 films, aren't you?
Yeah.
There's a quote from the 1961 film adaptation of Sheila Delaney's A Taste of Honey in one of the Smiths lyrics. What is it?
I know this isn't the answer. I know that there's the Morrissey song called Alma Matters where it says, "My life is mine to ruin my own way," which I believe is from this play, but I cannot think what the Smiths lyric would be. So I think you're going to have to tell me.
I can give you the song. So it's Reel Around the Fountain.
Slap me on the patio. I'll take it slowly. No?
It was... So it's I dreamt about you last night and I fell out of bed twice.
Okay.
Jimmy says that to Joe.
Okay.
Question number 9. We're almost there.
Yeah.
What Morrissey song has his first name in the lyrics?
Stephen. Oh, I feel like I'm giving the same answer again. I mean, I know I Will Never Marry. There's a woman in one of the bridges where she shouts out, "Stephen, Stephen." Gosh, Stephen in a Smiths lyric. I can't think. What is it?
It is Ouija board.
Oh,
STEVEN.
PUSHOFF.
Push off.
Fuck off. No, I shouldn't say that.
Number 10. Question number 10. The last question.
Yeah.
And then we'll tot up your little scores.
Yeah.
In the recent song Notre Dame, a cold what just touched me?
Notre Dame, a cold hand.
Well done.
Yes, thank you.
So I'm just going to deliberate.
Okay. The judges are totting up their scores.
You did actually only get 5.
5, yeah.
Yeah.
Shall I resign?
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Goodbye to me.
So yeah.
What have we got next then, after my humiliating defeat? Nanny Val reacts?
Nanny Val reacts, yes.
Okay, let's go into that.
One fire of teenagers raging so high in the northwest sky. And oh, you should have seen her leave for the arena, and the way she turned and waved and smiled. Goodbye.
So, Nan, this time we've asked you to listen to the track Bonfire of Teenagers. So this is actually an unreleased track, and there's an unreleased album of the same name, which I think Morrissey is searching for a record deal for. But it's a particularly controversial song because it takes quite a, shall we say, unique view of the Manchester bombings and the way that people reacted to it. So I suppose my first question is, what were your first impressions when you listened to it for the first time?
Well, he is such outspoken person in any case about everything, and obviously it's his hometown and his home people, and it happened there. So I think it's understandable that he felt so moved to, to use his poetry to record how he was feeling. It was a bit extreme, as most things about him are, but I think it was justified.
Did it move you at all? Did you find it moving?
Yeah, I mean, he obviously, it was very heartfelt how he, said he'll never ever, forgive, like, or you never what is it? Turn back in anger, whatever. Sorry.
Yeah, he quotes the song that the families of the survivors sang afterwards. Don't look back in anger, and he says that he will. You know.
Yes, and I watched that because obviously it was way back and I remembered about the incident obviously vividly, but not much of the detail other than how many people were killed and how many were injured, etc. But I found that I think it would have disturbed me if I were him to watch how it started, that Oasis song. I
Mm.
didn't think it was appropriate, to be honest, to feel like that. So many people lost their lives and have injuries that will last their lifetime. Um, I I think a high percentage of them would not feel that they could not look back in anger, especially
Mm.
if you've lost children.
I mean, it's a difficult song to analyze because the question is, does Morrissey have a right to say these things? He didn't have a family member there. He doesn't have a direct connection. Of course, you say Manchester is his home, and so that's one thing. And then we've also got to ask, is it okay to have this kind of anger about what happened? Because neither of us, me nor you, have any direct connection to it. But a lot of people in the comments on the video and so on say, thank God someone is saying this. So you do wonder if maybe a lot of people do feel angry about what happened.
Oh, of course, and you can't fail to be moved about things like when you see dreadful things happening in the rest of the world and that. Of course, it moves you, and if you've got a poetic nature as he has, and he's a real wordsmith, surely you'd want to put that into words and let people, especially in his profession, to let people know how he felt about it, that he was enraged, and don't, just say you'll forgive, because many people can't forgive in those circumstances.
And it's very it's extremely vivid language, isn't it? Bonfire of teenagers, that's it's just really strong. And
Yeah, and vaporize and all this sort of thing. Yes. Um, but as I say, his words usually are extreme, aren't they? He didn't do anything by halves.
mm, it's I think as an artist, it's brave that he is wanting to release his album by the same name, Bonfire of Teenagers. He's really setting his stall, isn't it? About this is what I think about the world. Um, and I suppose do you think some people would say this is an offensive song and we don't want to hear it, and it crosses the line. Do you think it crosses the line at all?
I would only accept that comment if it was from people that actually had people involved in the incident.
Mm.
And if they were offended by it, then I would understand that and have empathy. But not in general. I think, it's the only way sometimes to make people focus on really bad things that have happened in our world. I
Yes.
mean, the first time I went online to look, and the first time that he sang it was in Las Vegas or Los Angeles, somewhere there. And it
Mm.
was the first time he ever did it on stage and compared it to 9/11. Like it was something that
Mm.
hit America and really astounded people. And this did the same in England, and especially obviously in Manchester. So I don't think for one moment he was trying to be offensive. I think he was just trying to, say how enraged he was and how he felt about it. And he didn't look kindly on people that said, "Oh, let's forgive and forget." He wasn't in that mood, and I think many people would agree with him.
Because I mean, he does. I suppose that's one thing, but then an extra element to that in the song, he describes some of these people as silly people and morons, doesn't he?
I think that
That
was just the crowd that took up that
right.
song. They just all started singing it without really thinking why they were doing it. They just again, obviously it was Oasis. They're also from Manchester, aren't they, Oasis? So
Yes.
it was again local, people singing a local song, but I understand why you didn't think it was appropriate.
And the song ends with "Go Easy on the Killer," which is obviously sarcasm, I think.
Yes, yeah.
What did you think of that? It's an interesting way to end the song, isn't it?
Yeah, often his things are ambiguous, aren't they? Because he's trying to make you think. He didn't want it to be obvious and him put everything into a box and say, that's what I think, and there you go. He's trying to make people on both sides of the fence think about it and think, why they react in a certain way. Yeah, I think it was certainly meant to be, just a sarcastic end to it.
Mm.
I don't think for 1 minute he felt forgive.
No, no. I know Morrissey was hit really hard by 9/11 because he was living in Los Angeles at the time, I believe, and he was glued to the television, and he perhaps feels these things maybe more strongly than a lot of people. I don't know.
I think he's
Now,
just able to voice it more than most.
mm,
I think many people, feel the same as him, but they don't have the ability to put it into words.
well, we'll leave the analysis there, the Nanny Val reacts, but I would like to ask you, I believe you've finished the audiobook of Morrissey's autobiography, is that right?
Well, yes and no. I'm going to listen to it again because I listened to sort of listened as I went to bed, and I think I nodded off. So I'm sure there's certain parts of it that I missed completely. So I want to do it within normal waking hours and go through again because I did find it very moving. I think he's had such a bleak childhood. No wonder he's probably damaged in some ways, and very insular because he had such an awful start in the schools and that he went to.
Did you, having read it, did you think, comparing the sort of press image of Morrissey and the things that people say about him, did you think you were seeing a different side to him?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, it's always been my view of him has always been coloured by how much you felt for him. And I know your nature, so I know you wouldn't admire someone that was, some of the things people say about him.
Mm.
No, I think I've got, a much broader view of him now. Many things I like about him, many of the things that I've heard him say and that I like. I like his strange sense of humor, even.
Yeah, that's the thing about Morrissey, isn't it? I mean, his music can be bleak, and I think it would be silly to deny that. It can be depressing, but often there is a little joke in there, or there's a bit of irony. He certainly
Yes,
has that
yeah,
wit.
yeah. I think he tries to be quite comedic often, but he's haven't got his he hasn't got the right timing. He hasn't got that ability. This is why he can only, everything he expresses in song and in
Mm.
poetry, because I don't think he's got the delivery right at all.
Well,
I only
we'll
mean like when he's talking, physically to someone in an interview or something. He tries to say things sometimes that are funny, and I think, no, you missed the mark.
I know what you mean, actually. There's a slight sort of, he's just slightly off, isn't he? Slightly off,
Yeah, yeah.
not quite matching up
You
with
know, he's
the.
not trying to be offensive. He's trying
Yeah.
to be witty and funny, but he's got an odd way of actually putting it across, delivering it.
Well, we'll leave it there. Thank you very much for doing this again, and if you'd be so kind, we might have you back next time. Uh,
Okay.
all right, we'll leave it there. Thanks, Nan.
Okay, George. Thank you. Bye, love.
Bye. So that was Nanny Val Reacts. Always a pleasure to hear her thoughts. She doesn't know Morrissey, she doesn't really know the music, the history, but she always gives, I think, really insightful opinions. So next we have an interview with Dickie Felton, who, as we said earlier, you may know from the book The Day I Met Morrissey. His new book is called I Am Hated for Loving. And we probably should have done more research, but we don't really know what it's about. So we're going to interview him now. Let's go into that. So, Dickie, thank you for joining us. It's me and Chris this time doing the interview. We usually take it in turns, don't we? But we're going as a duo this time.
Yep.
So, Dickie, most people in the Morrissey community will know you from your book, The Day I Met Morrissey, I think. What can you tell us about that book? What was that about?
Yeah, sure. Well, it feels about 7 million years ago that book came out. I think it was. I think it came out in May 2009, so which was Morrissey's 50th birthday tour, I think. But yeah, that was quite an odd book. Looking back at it now, but it was just about people who'd met Morrissey. So I think that, you know, it was always when I go to Morrissey gigs, well, certainly back years ago, you'd be stood in the queue and people would say, "Have you ever met Morrissey?" And I used to be quite intrigued by people's stories of meeting him. So they kind of see it like a religious experience, meeting Moz. So yeah, it kind of turned into a book because I'd met him 3 or 4 times and was always reasonably tongue-tied and didn't know what to say. And the book is really about fans who did have something to say to him. So there's lots of weird and wonderful meetings in hotel lobbies and by the pick and mix at Woolworths. So yeah, it was such a long time ago that book came out, but it still sells. So it's quite pleasing when orders still come in for that book.
And so given that it is a precarious time for Morrissey these last few years, what's your prediction for the next 5 years for Morrissey? What do you think might happen?
Well, I think that the beauty of Morrissey is absolutely no idea what's going to happen next. You know, it feels as though these things go in cycles. So, you know, there's been periods in Morrissey's career where he's not really had any media coverage. You know, he's not flavour of the month, but, you know, he's not particularly fashionable, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden things tend to change. I think, you know, that happened, you know, You Are the Quarry, 2004, where people hadn't really heard from him for a little while. He came back with this album and it was billed, you know, it was always billed as a kind of a comeback album. But, you know, if you'd followed Morrissey all the way through, you know, there was no kind of comeback. He was always there, you know, but comeback in a sense of mainstream media. And he was, you know, on the One Show or he was on Jonathan Ross and he was on lots of television. So you know, again, the kind of title of the book, I'm Hated for Loving a Morrissey Tour on the Brink, you don't quite know what's going to happen. You know, so on the brink could mean a couple of things. It could mean absolutely amazing fan adoration and amazingly buoyant, successful concerts, but it could also mean what's going to happen next. You know, is he going to, you know, is it all going to fall apart, or is he going to finally release a new album? And is it, you know, is his kind of greatness finally going to be noticed, or maybe not? So, you know, 5 years from now, I have no idea. I mean, obviously, I think he's 65 next month. So, you know, it's hard to think of Morrissey being 70. You know, 5 years time. What you know, will he still be touring at 70?
He's got a few years.
You know, there's a lot of yeah. I think as well, a book was it felt important to do it now because of those reasons as well. You know, people say, is it the last tour? Is he going to tour again? Is he, you know, all this kind of thing? And he keeps defying the odds and, you know, doing lots of tours. I think there's always
when I read that the from George that the title is "I'm Hated for Loving," I thought that's such a great title for a Morrissey book, and a surprise that there hasn't been a book yet called that. So it's a great title because it can.
Well, thanks.
Can't it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it's kind of Morrissey's line, but I think as well there was a little bit about, you know, I'm hated for loving. I don't know what reaction you two get when you know, like you might meet somebody new, and they say, "What kind of music are you into?" And you're like, "Well, I love Morrissey," and you either get a kind of hug or you get a disdained look, you know. So you know, and I've got loads of friends who think that my Morrissey obsession is absolutely ridiculous, you know. So you know, which I quite like that. I quite like that response, you know. It's good.
And Dickie, where can people find the book if they want to buy it?
Well, it should be in the shops in June, but the best place really, and it really helped me out as well too, if people could pre-order it from my website. So it's just dickiefelton.com, which is Dickie with an IE, so dickiefelton.com. You can pre-order it, and we'll be sending them out early June.
Brilliant. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, Dick. It's been really good to talk to you. I know we've exchanged emails doing the fanzine and stuff, but we've never actually talked. So this is the first time, and it's been really nice. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, George.
Thank
yeah,
you,
I keep up the great work with the fanzine and the podcast. They've been really great. So you're both doing a great job with the podcast. So keep it going.
You give me a nice warm feeling there, Dickie. Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers. Bye.
Now we're going to listen to a snippet of Jim Falls and talk about it afterwards.
If you're gonna kill yourself, then for God's sake, just kill. If you're gonna sing, then sing. Just don't talk about it. If you're gonna live, then live. Don't talk about it. If you're gonna kill yourself, then for God's sake, just kill yourself.
That was Jim Falls, or as my friend Sophie says, Gin Falls, but she is a walking advert for abstinence. What do you think of it, George?
I mean, I think, well, firstly, it's interesting that you get a viewer discretion advised notification.
Really?
When you try and play this on YouTube Music,
Oh, no.
it says, are you sure you want to listen to this? Because it has triggers of suicide, in the song. I always say yes, obviously. It is, on the face of it, a song in which Morrissey says, if you want to kill yourself, just get on with it, which is a strong message. But I think you have to dig a little deeper into what Morrissey is saying. So I think that he's saying in the song, if you keep threatening to kill yourself and you never do it, then I'm within my rights to say, well,
Stop crying wolf, maybe.
Yeah, just get on with it. But he's saying, if you want to sing, just don't talk about it. If you want to live, then live, just don't talk about it. And I think what he's really saying to this person is, you keep saying you want to kill yourself. Actually, I think you'd be a lot happier if you just sang like you always say you want to sing. Just sing. Just live if you just want to live. Just, get on with it. And I think he's using the threat of this idea of saying, just kill yourself. He's using that as a threat to say, well, if you're going to push me, that's what I'll say. But why not just live? Why not just do what you want to do?
I mean, you say you dig a bit deeper, but I really don't think you have to dig very deep with this song. I think this song is, dull people might find it depressing because they just literally, everyone wants to talk about the just kill yourself line. But I think for me, it's one of the most freeing and positive songs, and that sort of, there's a lot of Morrissey songs are like this for me, but this one, when it came out, just around, go ahead, just go and live. Don't just sit around thinking, planning. Go and live, go and do things. Get on, experience, see things. Now, go. That's what it really says to me is, go out there and do things. I think it's such a freeing, exciting song for that reason. I mean, especially when it came out. I mean, this came out and I was, in 2020, I was in Cologne, and me and a few other degenerates were slept outside the venue in Cologne waiting for Morrissey to come on the next day. We didn't even know if he'd come on. We were playing the live versions from the previous show in Leeds, and we were sort of, the song was, for me, is one of my favourite Morrissey songs ever.
I think you've got this idea that Morrissey is having a joke, isn't it? You're like, it's funny to Morrissey to say, if you want to kill yourself, just kill yourself. Like, for Morrissey being this hero of the depressed and the suicidal, Morrissey is this person that these people look up to. I certainly have in those moments. For him to just turn around and say, well, just kill yourself then if you want to. Like, that's quite funny.
Well, he's honourable, isn't it?
Yeah.
As Morrissey said.
Yeah, Morrissey did once. What did he say? He said...
It was in the Larry David, wasn't it? It's an honourable thing.
Yeah.
But going on to some of the actual lyrics in the song and the sort of direct lines, I mean, my favourite line in the song, as well as the if you want to live, then live, I think that's very powerful, but one of my favourite lyrics, I think, which is, if I were you, I'd stick to your own canoe, which I think it's obviously very poetic sounding anyway, as the words flow, but also I think it's got quite a nice meaning to it. So what do you think?
Yeah, well, he's saying, don't interfere with my life. if I were you, I'd just stick to your own shit, you know.
Yeah.
Sort that out before you come to me claiming you want to kill yourself and all this sort of stuff. Just sort your own life out.
But then it refers to, obviously, to one thing we have missed is the, obviously, canoe on Jim Jim Falls, which is a waterfall in Australia.
What, Jim Jim Falls is a real waterfall?
Yeah, in Australia.
I thought it was just a made-up thing that Morrissey...
No, it is a waterfall in Australia.
Really? Jim Falls?
Jim Jim Falls, yeah.
Okay.
So it's you know, so I suppose the canoe is canoeing towards
the
waterfall. A big one as well, I think. Okay, so moving on to our next song, A Rush and a Push.
Okay, A Rush and a Push, and The Land Is Ours. Let's go into that.
Rush and a push and the land that we stand on is ours. It has been before, so it shall be again. And people who are uglier than you and I, they take what they need and just leave. Oh, but don't mention love. I'd hate this pain and the strain all over again.
So that was A Rush and a Push. Just before we talk about that, how are you finding the wine?
Well, I was enjoying it, but we finished it quite quickly, didn't we?
One bottle?
Yeah, we did. And now we're on to beer.
Yeah.
San Miguel.
San Miguel.
The finest Spanish beer in the world.
A chalice, served in a chalice.
But yeah, the wine was very good. For £7, not bad.
Not bad.
But anyway.
I prefer red, but...
Yeah.
So, A Rush and a Push. So, this song is, I mean, from what I understand, is about sort of a bit of pro-Irish independence.
Mm.
So, I mean, from what I've looked at, the song's title is originated from a poem written by Oscar Wilde's mother, Jane Wilde, which discusses a Republican takeover of the Irish government. So, pretty heavy.
Yeah, so, and that is interesting, and of course, like, the history of the song and where it came from is of importance. But I think, like, that is less relevant to what sort of the feeling of the song is, which I think the feeling of the song to me is, so you've got the vignette at the start of this guy with the pretty white neck who's being hung, you know, and he didn't live his life properly, and there was too much caffeine in his bloodstream. He should have been doing more exciting things. And then you have the second part of the song, which is, you know, a rush and a push and the land is ours. And this idea that stupid people and ugly people are making the most of life while we're left behind.
Yeah.
So I think there's two parts of the song. But I love that idea of, you know, people who are uglier than you and I, they take what they want and they just leave. Whereas Morrissey is saying, but we could own this land, you know. If only... So
he's saying that they're almost winning in a way because they take what they want, they do what they want.
Yeah, they are. And, you know, Morrissey and people who like Morrissey, people who kind of like the music of Morrissey and the Smiths, they're shy and they don't want to push, you know, they don't want to grab. But he's saying, you know, if you only just did grab, then you could own all of this stuff and you could have a wonderful life, you know, and you could be happy if only you would just rush and push and take the land. But we don't want to because that's the kind of people we are.
So one lyric, the lyric that really sticks out to me is travel to a mystical time zone. And then obviously I miss my bed, so I soon came home. We can all relate to I miss my bed, so I soon came home. But the mystical time zone, it's quite an interesting lyric.
Well, that has always related to me in the sense of like lucid dreams. I know Troubled Joe is probably a ghost. You know, as he says at the start, I am the ghost of Troubled Joe. But this idea of travelling to a mystical time zone, it's sort of like, you know, lucid dreaming. Do you know what lucid dreaming is?
Yeah. No, I don't actually know what it is.
Okay. So it's like this idea that you can, you know, your dreams, when you dream.
I know my dreams.
Yeah. You can control those dreams. So when you go to bed, you do a certain kind of meditation, and then when you dream, you can kind of control what happens in your dream. And that's also linked to like out of body experiences and that sort of thing. So I always get this idea of someone who has sort of lucid dreamt, has travelled to a mystical time zone in his head, and then, you know, someone says, oh, you have to come home because there's too much caffeine in your bloodstream and you haven't lived enough, so sort of come back. That's always what it meant to me. And I know that might sound a bit outlandish.
No, I agree. I think that's interesting. I mean, my theory in dreams has always been that nobody ever wants to listen to anybody else's dreams. Like, it's always the most boring thing ever. There's no one ever tells you a dream that they've had, and you're like, that's interesting. Because obviously it never happened. It's just not going to happen. I mean, see, one theory that I thought maybe the Troubled Joe could be Joe Moss, obviously the Smiths managers. Yeah. Maybe, I don't know, Joe. And then I suppose the one sort of bit of trivia for me that I think's interesting funny is I always, the end of the song, I always think he's sort of saying cinnamon buns, cinnamon buns, cinnamon buns, because my drama teacher at school said that in movies, in films, the extras in the background, they get told to say certain things to look like they're talking or whatever. Their mouth moves in a way. Yeah. And apparently one of those things is cinnamon buns.
Is it?
It makes your mouth move in a way similar to, I think, rhubarb.
I've heard watermelon, cantaloupe.
Yeah, I think cinnamon buns. Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a rush and a push.
And what are we listening to next?
Next, we're going back onto Solo, Morrissey Solo. Why don't you find out for yourself? Why don't you?
Okay, let's listen to that.
Some men here, they have a special interest in your career. They want to help you to grow and then siphon all your dough. Why don't you find out for yourself? Then you'll see the glass hidden in the grass. You'll never believe me, so why don't you find out for yourself? Sick down to my heart, that's just the way it goes.
That was Why Don't You Find Out For Yourself. George?
Well, so I always think of Avril Lavigne when I hear this song.
Really?
Yeah, really, yeah. So this idea of like a pop star who is new on the scene, doesn't really know her stuff or his or her stuff, and is taken advantage of by music executives. You know, they kneel and pray and they want your distress. You know, so I don't. Avril Lavigne may be a hard ass. I don't know, but I sort of think someone like that could come on the scene, and then these music executives are saying, you know, we want you to be distressed. We want you to be in pain because it's easy for us to make money off you if you're in that state. It seems to be that kind of song, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think the song very much, I mean, from what I understand, is very like a disillusionment in the music industry and possible characters that Morrissey encounters when he says sort of some men here. You imagine sort of men with briefcases maybe.
Yeah.
And yeah, and obviously like there's obviously a bit of bitterness around these sort of idle people who are taking a cut. You know, the siphon all your dough. Mm-hmm. I think is, you know, on maybe even like taxes, for example. It makes me think of when I work getting taxed, and taxes isn't always negative, but you know, I mean, the good news is we've got a 2% decrease in national insurance now in the UK.
Bloody hell, yeah,
so yeah, give with one hand, take with the other.
Buy another loaf of bread.
Give with one hand, take. Apparently, taxation now is the highest level since Second World War. So thank you to the Tories for that. And then
we were trying not to be too political.
And then, I mean, one question I have for you, George. What does I don't have any skin? What does that mean? I don't have any skin.
Oh, I think that means, like, you know, when you get stabbed in the back. That's his next line.
So many times. Yeah.
Stabbed in the back. Like you have a bit of skin to protect you from being stabbed. You know, it has to go through the skin before it gets to the organs. You know, he's saying I don't have any skin. So he's saying I have no armor to protect me from being stabbed in the back. I think that's what he's saying.
Yeah. And then the backing vocals in the song with this Alan White.
I don't know. Was it
beautiful though?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is definitely a song about a new person to the music industry. I think that's what it's about. Of course, you can extrapolate it to other ideas, you know, your own life and whatever. But I think this is about someone who's new to the scene, who is being taken advantage of. And Morrissey is saying, well, it makes me sick down to my heart, but that's just the way the industry works. And I think he's talking to his younger self a little bit, you know, and sort of giving advice to that younger self.
Yeah. And I think, like you say, you can relate it. You can relate it to the music industry, but also to your own life.
Yeah.
If you're a rock star, rock god, or a invoice clerk. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we all have bosses who take advantage, and you know, and that idea that the people above you just want to wring out every last
milk
bit of
you,
resource from you. Yeah, of
suck
course.
you dry.
And that is why Morrissey is so successful, because he sings about very particular situations, but you can relate it to your own life. You know, that's how he writes it.
Yeah, they can definitely relate to my very humble life. So finally, we have 5 minutes with Julie, the lovely Julie Hamill, talking about a very special guest for the Mozarmy in Manchester.
Very, very, very special guest. Let's see what she has to say. So, Julie, thanks for popping on the podcast again. Welcome back.
Thank you for having me, George.
Now, we've been trailing that there's going to be some big news about the guests at Mozarmy this year, and maybe you could tell us about that.
Oh, well, it's really exciting. It's just bulging with legends this year. It's amazing. As you know, it's my last year, so I just basically just threw everything at it and just thought, who do I really want? And I went to those people, and a lot of them said yes. So Friday, 17th of May, Rourke, which is the band I told you about before, spearheaded by Andrew Parisi, who will be doing all the drumming, and with three of the guys from the Salford Lads, Ezra, Justin and John, are having 5 singers guest with them, 5 different singers. So on the Friday, joining them and singing at the end of the night, headlining, if you like, is Stephen Holt from the Inspiral Carpets, which is incredible. He's an amazing frontman anyway. And of course, he has that connection with Craig Gill that we always try and remember Craig because of everything he did for the Mozarmy community. Yeah. Also singing will be John Robb. John is, a long-term friend and collaborator, and just someone that I just love having around. Comes to the Mozarmy every year, always try and find a job for him. And, just went to him, this year and said to him, come on, John, it's time to sing. And he was like, all right. So twisted his arm, and he is, none of them are going to try and be Morrissey. Obviously, only Morrissey can be Morrissey, but they're all going to put their own spin on it. So with the songs that John is singing, he's going to be kind of going more rocky, vibey, T-Rex-y sort of a avenue.
Nice.
And also joining you know already will be Keely. Keely is incredible. She's just brilliant, and she's just got a record deal. And Andrew Parisi has joined her band. So that in an odd circularity, Andrew is now in her band. There's only 3 of them, but they have the noise and energy of 10 band members. They're brilliant. Songs are great. So Keely is going to be singing the majority of the set for Andy. And then topping it off is just one of my favourite singers. Her name is Jenny Dragg, and she is the lead singer in the Priscillas. I don't know if you know the Priscillas, but they are kind of like a really cool kind of female Cramps, I think would be the best way to describe them. And they are currently co-headlining with the Wooden Tops, which is, so it's amazing to get these people. Really chuffed about that. Also on the Friday is the Smiths United, who are great and really great bunch of guys, bringing their own spin to all the classics, and their special guest with them will be Simon Wilsoncroft, who we know, Funky Si, has been in the Army over the years and is a great friend and just a great guy to be around. He's always got all the stories as well. And speaking of stories, as this is all about Andy this year, to sort of commemorate and celebrate his life, his work in music and bass, I'm going to be having an in-conversation with his 2 brothers, Phil and Chris Rourke. They're going to be coming, and we're going to sit down and chat. I think that will be really special, actually. I think it'll be really nice. And they have given me an old family photo. to talk about, and what it was like, growing up with Andy, and how he discovered the bass, and what he was like as a child. And I think it'll be really, really nice. And then topping off Friday will be DJ Rusty Spanner, who we all know and love, our Hannah. It's time she got a turn on the decks of the Mozarmy. We're finally putting her to work after years of coming along and having a good time. She's getting a job.
Chris said she did a fantastic job the other month when he went to the Star and Garter and she was playing.
Yeah,
he was a big fan of her.
I'm a big fan of her, and she's also a really lovely person. She's a great DJ, and I've said this to you before, but I love the female presence in music.
Yeah.
There's so many men in this, year after year. It's me and a bunch of men talking on stage or playing on stage, and it's like, come on, so to have Hannah there, and as a real feminine ally is amazing. Obviously Keely as well, and Jenny, so it's gonna be packed. We haven't even talked about Saturday yet, which is massive.
So what's happening on Saturday?
Well, I don't even know how to even, after all that, it's like, how are we even going to recover? But so one of the people that Andy Rourke played with and toured with was Badly Drawn Boy. And I just, all you can really do is ask these people. You never really think you're going to get a reply, like maybe like you just get ignored. So I just asked him, and suddenly just found myself in the conversation with his manager, and it was like, yes, he would like to be involved in this. And I was like, oh, you would? Okay, all right, yes, okay, no, brilliant, absolutely brilliant. So obviously I'm chuffed to bits about that, because he's an amazing songwriter, an amazing singer, and was a really good friend of Andy. So he will be headlining on Saturday night and singing a few songs, and he's also going to be sharing a few stories and a few anecdotes of working with Andy as well, which is amazing.
Badly Drawn Boy is one of those names that you sort of know, and then for me personally, I was like, yeah, but what did he sing? And then I was looking him up, and he did the About a Boy soundtrack, which is one of my favorite films of all time.
Mine too.
A lot of people will know from that.
What a soundtrack as well. It's just a phenomenal soundtrack, and he has that kind of really gentle voice, sort of almost like he's always singing lullabies. So I'm really interested to hear how he's going to sing those songs, how he's going to sing his interpretation of that vocal is going to be really, really interesting. We've also got Keely again on Saturday night and Jenny again on Saturday night, and there might be a surprise. There might be. There's a lot of people turning up, like alumni, Andy alumni, friends, family, Smith friends, Smith family, Morrissey friends, Morrissey family. They're all coming. So it's going to be brilliant. But of course, the In Conversation on Saturday night, I'm really looking forward to.
Yeah, very nice. And so the very special guest that you've got coming, who you haven't wanted to name so far, is that something that you can talk about? Because we're timing this podcast to go out when you make the big announcement. So is that something you wanted to talk about?
Yes, I mean, hugely thrilling for me, for everybody. There's so many people that go to the Mozarmy. The journey started with the Smiths. And for me, as a teenager, 13-year-old, I saw the Smiths at the Barrowlands, and everything that basically shaped my life. It's been the soundtrack to my life. So to actually say that we're going to have a Smith at this is absolutely thrilling, and also weird, because it's like adult me is talking to child me, and child me is trying to compete with, feeling the absolute excitement of this, and adult me, professional me, is going, you just need to chill out because you need to, do an In Conversation. But I'm delighted to tell you that the very special guest is Mike Joyce, and
bloody hell.
I know, but please still come, Mike. Met him a number of times over the years. He's a lovely guy. Obviously, this is all about Andy, and Mike is Andy's best friend. He was Andy's best friend, for a lifetime and to the end. So to get his insight into that friendship is going to be really, really wonderful and a real privilege for us to have and to listen to Mike. I'm delighted that he's coming. Absolutely delighted.
How did you manage it, Julie? So you met him a few times in the past. Did you have each other's numbers? Did you just text him, or how did it work?
I had his number, but the funny thing is that I forgot I had his number. I've met him, you know, because I'm friends with Clint Boone, and Clint and Mike are friends. And so things over the years, like I've been to like some things that we did for, I didn't do it, but I attended for Craig Gill. Mike was there. So, but I forgot I had his number. And so I actually went to another friend and said, oh, have you got Mike's number? And then he gave it to me and I looked it up and I already had it. I was like, oh God, okay. So I just thought, do you know what? I'm just going to phone him. I'm just going to phone him out of the blue. I didn't text. I didn't go, hey, are you available for chat or whatever. I just was walking down Kilburn High Road one day and I thought, I'm just going to chance it. And so I phoned him and I said, Mike, it's Julie Hamill, don't hang up. He burst out laughing and then we just started cracking up, like laughing. I was like, I'm doing this thing for Andy, you know, I don't know how you'd feel about coming. Would you like to come? You obviously know about the event over the years and da-da-da. And he was like, let me think about it. And then he went off and thought of this was months ago. And then we had a few other phone calls and he said, okay, I'll do it. And it was a bit like that public drop boy moment again. Where I was like, you know, he's hang up the phone and go, Mike Joyce is coming and I can't tell anybody. I'm not allowed to tell anybody. Like, you know, so because he said, do you know what I'll do? I'm just going to turn up. That's what I'm going to, he said, I'm just going to turn up. I'll come up on stage. You and I have a chat and that'll be it. And I was like, okay. But of course, I'm bursting, you know, with energy about this and dying to tell people, but I can't because he's, you know, he just wants to turn up and doesn't want a big fuss made and all this kind of stuff because he's just so cool like that. So we made up 2 posters, one as surprise guest and one as Mike Joyce in conversation on the Saturday. And I sent them both and I was like, what do you want? What would you prefer? You know, and I knew I'd hoped that once he'd seen some of the other names that were coming, that he would go, all right, then I'll just put my name on it. I was fully expecting him to come back and go, I already told you, Julie, you know, down as a surprise. But he came back and he went, do you know what? Just put my name in the poster. And I was like, really? But the thing is it is nearly sold out already you know, it is brilliant to have all these people and to have access to these people and to talk to them and to get selfies with them and to get stuff signed and for everybody. But the event is great. The special guests are great, but the event is very much about meeting up, about people around the world meeting up and seeing each other who have the Smiths and Morrissey in common. So the event is already going to sell out anyway, even if we only have each other. But to have this is like a really nice kind of cherry on the top, particularly for me as it's my last one. So I'm excited.
Me too. So there'll be people listening to this. There always is thinking, oh, shall I go this year? Shall I not? Like, there are only a few tickets left. And I suppose you would say to them, snap it up now because it's going to be a big one.
Yeah. I mean, there's 4 tickets left for Saturday night. I don't even know if they're still. That's it.
Oh, gosh.
There's a number of weekender tickets. Which is better value anyway because you get 2 nights, you know, a discount, £35, and there's a number of Friday tickets left as well. I did forget to say that Loud and Clear are going to be DJing on the Saturday night as well.
Oh, so, brilliant!
Yeah, who are great, who we had last year, who did a brilliant job. So got to have them back. They're really, really good. They're vinyl DJs from Manchester, so they play, and also the DJ sets are going to be a real sprinkling of Andy's career. So it's going to be obviously heavy on the Smiths and Morrissey, but you're going to have other bands that he played with and, you know, people that he toured with. There's going to be a smattering of that in there as well.
Brilliant. Well, Julie, honestly, I can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. I know a lot of people are. So we'll leave it there. Thank you for sharing the news with us. And I hope those last 4 tickets get snapped up ASAP.
They may be gone.
Okay.
Thanks, George. Say hi to Chris and me, and hi to Nana as well.
And I'll tell Nanny Val you said hi. Yeah. Okay.
Bye.
Cheers.
Bye.
A real life Smith.
An actual Smith.
in the flesh.
Yeah, like an actual Smith. That's going to be really cool.
Really cool. Yeah. Can we touch him? Can we get close to him?
I don't
Is he behind glass?
I mean, I don't think he's behind glass, but maybe...
Don't touch or breathe on me.
Yeah, Ginny Cleary, yeah. I think we could shake his hand. I think we could maybe say hello. Mike, can we ask you a question?
Maybe not about legal stuff.
No, well, we'll leave that to one side.
Yes.
That's all in the past.
Don't talk about money.
But yeah, that Julie's contact book is pretty.
This is a big one. Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
So if you haven't got a ticket to Mozarmy yet, I really recommend that you get a ticket. It's not really that expensive. You can buy a weekend ticket for both days, or just go to the Friday or the Saturday. I believe Mike is probably going to be on the Saturday, isn't he? Judging by what Julie said. But yeah, pretty cool.
Really cool, really cool.
And that's it for this month. Thank you for listening. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It's really easy. Just tap the follow button or the subscribe button on Spotify. We'd love to have you on board. Chris, do you have anything to say?
Thank you for listening.
Thank you for listening, and Godspeed.